списки и ссылки на сайты, чтобы вы могли получить льготы, обучение, образование и работу. Условия участия в программе цифровой грамотности «Новые возможности» таковы. Первое. Вы недавно прибыли в Соединенные Штаты Америки. Второе. Вы проживаете в городе Портленде. Третье. Говорите на языке, отличном от английского, например, на украинском или по-русски. Четвертое. У вас низкий уровень дохода, вы получаете социальную помощь и можете предоставить подтверждающий документ, или доход отсутствует и вовсе. Пятое. У вас нет подходящего цифрового устройства для поиска информации о получении льгот, составления резюме и поиска работы. И шестое. Вы должны пройти соответствующее тестирование. Школа цифровой грамотности «Новые возможности» – это ваши возможности для улучшения жизни на новом месте. Телефон для справок. Звоните по номеру 503-272-1470, 503-272-1470 и для СМС-сообщений 971-225-71-23, 971-225-71-23. Поспешите, количество мест ограничено. Звоните по номеру 503-272-1470 и отправляйте текстовое сообщение 971-225-71-23. Желаем вам удачи!
Новости региона, выборы, кандидаты, стремления. Новая программа Slavic Vote Live. Каждую неделю в прямом эфире. Slavic Vote Live дает голос славянской общине по всему северо-западу. Мы говорим и информируем о важном Вашингтоне, Орегоне, Калифорнии. По четвергам в 17:00. Присоединяйтесь к прямому эфиру на 10:40 АМ. Ищите Slavic Vote в соцсетях. Мы намерены продолжать продвигать свое видение и оказывать любую необходимую поддержку сообществу, чтобы изменить ситуацию к лучшему. Slavic Vote Live.
Добрый день, меня зовут Дима Сащенко. Вы слушаете передачу Slavic Vote Live, и с нами, как обычно, Ярослав. Ярослав, как у тебя самочувствие?
Хорошо.
Нормально. Как у нас там
у нас
трафик?
там с Канады чуть дымка пошла на нас.
Серьезно?
Да,
Я слышал, только в
такая
Нью-Йорке
пасмурная, да. Но она уже дошла до нас, я думаю.
интересно.
Так что, если вы смотрите на погоду, то...
Пока нет. У нас в Портленде пока все нормально. Отлично. Спасибо, что вы подключились. Как я сказал, вы слушаете передачу Slavic Vote Live. Сегодня четверг, июнь 8 числа, мне кажется. И у нас сегодня будет очень интересная передача. С нами, как обычно, гости. И мы пообщаемся с представителем города Грэшема, или по-английски говорится City Councilor of Gresham, и также President of the City Council. Это получается мэр города, и потом идет президент города Грэшема. И вот мы с ней пообщаемся. Она с нами раньше была, ее звать Супиаза, и она уже, это ее 3-й год, как она имеет эту позицию. Она с нами была 1-й год, как мы начали эту передачу. Если вы хотите послушать эту передачу, вы можете найти на нашем YouTube-канале. И там она немножко больше о себе поговорит и больше о той позиции, где она на то время ее только выбрали. А сегодня, конечно, мы хотели с ней сконтактироваться или хотели пригласить ее, чтобы она немножко нам обновила или объяснила немножко, как ее 3 года, как ее служба 3 года, что она научилась, что она хочет посоветовать нашему комьюнити, потому что наша славянская комьюнити очень много живет людей в Грэшеме, и вот она немножко об этом поговорит, какие там законы, может быть, новые изменились, может, какие-то проекты интересные нам нужно знать, и вот мы об этом немножко поговорим. Но перед тем, как мы начнем эту передачу, я, как обычно, хочу напомнить, что у нас начался новый проект, который мы работаем, или мы подключились к проекту помогать тем беженцам с Украины, которые недавно приехали. И сейчас идет набирание людей в эту программу. Если вы живете в округе Кларк-Каунти, это в городе Ванкувер, и те города, которые вокруг Ванкувера, всех, кто живет в округе Кларк-Каунти. Вы можете подключиться на эту передачу, на эту программу. Опять сейчас идет открытая такая регистрация, чтобы подключиться в эту программу. Там будут разные интересные мероприятия, разные интересная помощь, может быть, даже финансовая помощь будет. Также будет помощь по поводу каких-то, может быть, объяснений, какие-то, может быть, программы, которые мы будем учить или обучать. И вот, если вам интересно, вы можете позвонить нам, написать нам, и мы вам также можем добавить вас в список тех, кто будет подключаться. Я знаю, что уже на прошлой неделе было одно мероприятие, которое проходило в церкви Смирна. К сожалению, там не очень было много места, и много людей интересовались, не все могли попасть. И вот если вы интересуетесь попасть на следующее мероприятие, это будет такое вступление, вы можете подписаться, опять вы можете нас найти на нашем веб-сайте, вы также можете написать по нашему телефону или позвонить, чтобы до вас добавили в тот список, чтобы когда будет следующее мероприятие, где вы можете попасть, мы вам обратимся. Те, кто хотели попасть на прошлую неделю и не смогли попасть, мы со вами созвонимся и дадим вам больше информации, где будет это мероприятие. Телефончик, который вы можете найти нас или позвонить, чтобы добавиться, это 971-244-2228. И еще раз, эта программа, если вы живете в округе Ванкувер, Кларк-Каунти, если вы недавно приехали как беженцы или как по паролю с Украины, вы можете подписаться в эту программу, где будет там помощь в разных вариантах, и вот вы можете подписаться, и будет больше информации помогать вам. Это получается, в этом проекте подключена не только наша организация, там также подключены некоторые церкви, как Смирна церковь, также The Father's House Church, также Kingdom Movement и еще некоторые другие подключены в этот проект, и будет этот проект по всему округу проходить, и мы одни из тех организаций, которые будут помогать продвигать эту тему и эту программу. И вот сегодня мы хотели также объявить, чтобы вы могли подписаться. Пока еще есть еще место. Я бы сказал, что места еще много. Если вы интересуетесь, позвоните нам, напишите нам, и тогда мы вам добавим в эту программу. И когда будет следующее мероприятие, вы можете подключиться. Сейчас я знаю, что будет одно мероприятие в это воскресенье в церкви The Father's House Church. Я сейчас точнее скажу, может быть, даже в субботу. Сейчас я точно посмотрю на флайер-рок, и там вам дам точную информацию. Ну, самое лучшее, если вы просто нам напишите или позвоните 971-244-2228. Это получается, это будет 10 числа июня. Это будет в церкви The Father's House Church. И там будет несколько программ, начинается в 12 до 3, и там будет 3 разных урока. Это будет урок обучаться, какие школы здесь в Орегоне, какие школы в Вашингтоне, какие там разные уровни и так далее. И вот, если вам интересно, там будет также пища, и также будут напитки и все так дальше. Вы можете подписаться и приходить на эту программу. Опять 10 числа июня на 12 часов в церкви The Father's House. Очень важно, чтобы вы подписались, зарегистрировались на эту программу, на этот workshop, на этот семинар. Вы можете нам написать 971-244-2228, и мы вас сконтактируем с теми ребятами, которые организовывают тот workshop или тот summit, или ту программу на тот день. И вот мы будем рады вам помочь. Также, конечно, мы, как обычно, также говорим по поводу выборов, по поводу голосования, которое проходит каждый год в Орегоне, в Вашингтоне. Вот недавно были выборы в Орегоне, которые мы голосовали, где я живу. А сейчас у нас будут выборы проходить в Вашингтоне, где Ярослав живет. Ярослав, можешь пару слов сказать, какие выборы будут проходить сейчас в Вашингтоне? Дату, может быть, какая дата будет проходить, чтобы просто наши славяне знали, чтобы они подготавливались, и мы дальше, может быть, на следующих передачах больше скажем информации.
Ну да, если люди хотят поинтересоваться, то на прошлой передаче мы именно говорили все даты, но главная дата это будет 1 августа как мы говорили раньше, то, пожалуйста, не ждите последнего времени. Вот, я думаю, в July 14 они уже начнут отсылать все бланки. И они довольно придут там через дня, может, 2, я не знаю, максимум, потому что это только в Вашингтоне. И выполняйте эти бланки, потом сдавайте их. Если у вас есть какие-то вопросы, то у нас будет информация на нашей странице, за кого голосовать, почему. Все у нас будет там. Так что обращайтесь к нам, заходите на нашу страницу.
Да, страница называется slavicvote.org, www.slavicvote.org. Там вы можете найти страничку, где вы можете зарегистрироваться, если вы еще не зарегистрированы. Также найти информацию, за кого голосовать. Мы пользуем информацию с организаций других, которые могут это рекомендовать. Как организация называется SV Action. Также есть Oregon Family Council и другие, которые мы выставляем, чтобы вы могли использовать ту информацию, чтобы легче вам было голосовать. И также, конечно, я напоминаю, что если вы живете в Орегоне, Вашингтоне, в этом выборах это Вашингтон, если вы только можете голосовать, если вы граждане Америки. Вот если вы нас слушаете, вы граждане Америки, тогда вы можете голосовать в этих выборах. И это получается округи Кларк-Каунти. Но на эти выборы будут проходить по всему штату. Вот если вы живете, может быть, в другом округе, может быть, в Спокене, в Сиэтле, у вас тоже будут свои выборы, которые вы можете тоже голосовать. Регистрируйтесь, и, надеюсь, вы будете голосовать. Обычно, к сожалению, почему мы видим такой разврат, потому что когда мы смотрим на количество людей, которые будут выходить или обычно выходят и голосуют, это очень мало. Ярослав, ты помнишь, сколько примерно обычно? 20%, 25% примерно, да, так получается?
Ну да, в Орегоне мы смотрели, было 20%.
Да, и я бы сказал, это похоже и в Вашингтоне, да. К сожалению, это 20 только процентов. Да, Ярослав, это
малая часть.
Решает
за всех при том.
Да.
20% людей.
20% решает за всех. И вот если подумать, если мы, хотя бы половина из нас, славян, вышли, проголосовали, мы могли бы много чего изменить. Конечно, может быть, не через одни выборы, но это вперед постоянно голосовать и менять постоянно сторону или немножко разворачивать в ту сторону, где мы сейчас идем. К сожалению, в ту сторону мы сейчас идем, которую мы, как славяне, не поддерживаем. И вот мы можем изменить, если мы будем участвовать. И это очень просто. И вот мы здесь помочь, чтобы правильно, можно сказать, или помочь просто, чтобы вы поняли, куда идти, и чтобы вы уже сами могли выбрать, сделать ваше решение, за кого голосовать, если вам не нужна помощь. Если нужна помощь, конечно, есть те ресурсы тоже, если вам нужна. И вот опять напоминание, августа 1, если вы живете в Вашингтоне, у вас будут выборы проходить очень важно. Это будут школьные представители, также будут и некоторые городские представители, но это большинство будет фокусироваться на школьные позиции. Но также, если вы живете в некоторых местах, у вас может быть также специальные какие-то дополнительные позиции. Если кто-то или ушел с той позиции, их нужно заполнить, или, может быть, еще какие-то специальные такие маленькие позиции, которые тоже будут добавляться. Ярослав, ты еще не планировал баллотироваться?
Пока нет.
Пока нет. Мы, конечно, поощряем всех баллотироваться, кто чувствует или призыв к этому, или желание, или вы понимаете, как это все работает, и вы думаете, что вы можете добавить какую-то часть к этому. Я так понимаю, если у вас есть желание, думаю, это хорошее желание. И также, что интересно, мы что поняли, да, за все время, как мы этим занимаемся, уже 4 года, мы поняли, что те люди, которые баллотируются, они не какие-то специальные, какие-то супер люди. Это простые люди, как мы. И даже, есть некоторые, которые, может, даже и, не хочу сказать... есть такие люди, которые лучше бы их не баллотироваться. Но смысл в том, что все можно баллотироваться, и все имеют доступ к этому. Есть только, нужно только желание и немножко, как сказать, активность, правильно? И вот наши славяне уже баллотируются. Я знаю, в прошлом году были. В этом году есть даже, вот здесь у нас есть даже в Ванкувере одна славянка вроде бы с Молдовы. также балансируется, если я помню правильно, и мы больше об ней говорим, мы, может быть, даже пригласим ее на передачу в будущем, чтобы она немножко о себе поговорила. И также другие штаты, другие города, есть наши люди, балансируются, вы не будете одни, мы здесь поможем, мы будем рады, чтобы вы голосовали и балансировались. Спасибо большое. Опять вы подключились на передачу Slavic Vote Live. У нас сегодня будет интересная передача. Немножко поговорим о локальных выборах, немножко поговорим, что происходит здесь. Ближе углубимся в город Грэшем, где здесь наших славян очень много, и больше переезжают с Портленда в Грэшем. И вот будет интересно поговорить с Супияза, которая находится сейчас как представитель этого города, одна из представителей городов в этом городе. И я знаю, что она имеет очень разные многие проекты, которые, я думаю, нам понравятся. И вот если вы хотите больше о ней услышать, вы можете подключиться на прошлой передаче, которая у нас была, или оставайтесь с нами сегодня. Надеюсь, вы останетесь. Мы будем переходить на английский язык. Спасибо, что вы подключились. Надеюсь, вы остаетесь с нами. Спасибо большое. So thank you for coming back. This is your second time. I'm really happy to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And last time you were here, you just, I believe you got elected to this position. And so we were excited to have you come back and share a little bit. I know you got a little bit of upgrade. You can share about that as well, if for lack of a better word in my mind. So share a little bit about your experience. Maybe start with introduce yourself again for those folks maybe who haven't watched the last 2 years program, and share a little bit about yourself a little bit.
Okay. So yeah, it's been 2.5 years that I've been on council now. And this last January, I was voted by the council as the council president. So that serves under the mayor. So if the mayor can't be there, you're the one who's called up. It's just taking on that little bit extra than when you're as a counselor.
And remind us, who's the mayor right now?
Travis Stovall. He was just reelected in the last election. He was he ran when I did to replace Mayor Bemis, who had resigned. So he filled the 2 years, and then he ran unopposed. So that made it nice for him. And now he's in his first year of 4-year term for that. And I have lived in the area my whole life, and I love this town. I've seen it grow from being mostly fields and grew up in the country, and now I'm in suburbia, almost city. And so when I decided to run, I was interested in politics for a long time, been a businesswoman for many years, and I was praying, and I really felt like God said, in such a time as this year, to run for city council. And this was before our mayor resigned, and before George Floyd, and before COVID, all in that month or two before all this took place. So I'm doing what God asked me to do and fulfilling that role. And it was really hard the first 2 years. We had a very divided council. It didn't work well together, unfortunately. I was the only conservative person. It's a nonpartisan organization. There's 6 councilors and the mayor, but we should all work together, because when you're talking city government, we're talking about our police, our fire, our water, our streets, our parks, and that's what we're supposed to take care of. So this year, with the change of a council and not having such a divided council, we are all working much better together, which is helping the city. It's very nice.
Well, that's awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
And I know that we just before we came on here, we briefly talked about some of the results from this last election that just happened. And we have some great news to share.
Yeah,
about
there's the good and the bad
Yes.
of the last election. So in May we had, we'll start with the good news, and that is for the Gresham Barlow School Board of Directors. There were 3 conservative, God-fearing people that ran on their beliefs and what they believe in, and all 3 of them won. And they had a nasty campaign run against one of them. There was lots of money spent, unbelievable amount of money that was spent on these races, which is sad because it makes it hard for people. But the people of Gresham saw through that and voted for our children to be raised and educated on education, reading, writing, math, and to stick to that values.
Right, and your
So that
husband
was good.
Right. And I know your husband helps you in some of these things, right? He was involved in some of the stuff.
Yeah, my husband is a really good, he likes to, we can call him a backseat driver. He's a political person that likes to help others get elected. And so he's worked in all the campaigns since Mayor Bemis ran as mayor. He was on his campaign way back when, probably 18 years ago. And yeah, he would have liked to have been here tonight, but he had a family commitment to the grandkids, coaching t-ball.
Right. And I know that if anybody from the Slavic community is looking to run in this area, he's probably a good person to connect with.
He's a very good person because he's very connected, and he's very good at knowing what's good for him to do and who should do the other things, which is nice because sometimes you need a professional depending on what area you're going to run in. And it's nice even to talk to him or someone like myself who's already in office to get an idea of realistically what's expected. Because when I ran and I talked to some people, I asked them how much time they spent on city council. And they said, maybe 20 to 40 hours a month. And I don't think I've had a week that wasn't 30 to 60 hours a week. But it's also what you put into it, and I want to be that person that understands what I'm voting on, delves into it, and makes sure that I have an idea what the constituents want. Because even though people voted for me, not everybody voted for me. So I still need to understand what the people of my community want and then make that decision. And obviously I have to go with my heart and my gut on what I should do, but I really like to be able to be educated both with the knowledge and with other people in the area and what they think and how they feel about things. The sad news of the May election was our Gresham safety levy lost by 2.5%. And it's so sad because literally we have 71,000 people that are registered voters in Gresham and just a little over 17,000 voted. So that's about 23% maybe. Yeah, it's so low. It's so sad to have such a major, I want to think of the right word, but this was so important to our city because understanding how the taxes work in Oregon is really hard and who pays for what. So if you take our city government, back in the mid-90s in the state of Oregon, there were two measures that were passed, Measure 5 and Measure 50, which have to do with your property taxes. And they were reset and capped. And at that time, they were set to what your city's property taxes were at the time. Well, Gresham happened to be running on a bond levy that expired the day before the day before the new rate went into place. So today, Gresham's value of property taxes is the second lowest in the state of Oregon. So when we weren't able to include the amount of money that was on our current bond that was going to expire, we lost out in being able to add that into the taxes that people pay. And I know we're overburdened in our taxes. I understand that. I've been very strong supporter of lowering taxes and less government. But we do need to look at the picture for Gresham, which is we operate off of $3.61 per thousand home value for your property taxes. And the city of Portland is at $7, I think, and 62 cents. City of Troutdale and Sandy per capita have twice the dollars per capita coming in than the city of Gresham. So we're in a peculiar situation because our taxes are so low, yet we feel so overburdened. So if you take a dollar that you pay on your taxes in Gresham, 18 cents of that dollar goes to the city of Gresham. 21 cents goes to Multnomah County. 22 cents goes to your schools. So you're literally paying the city, who's supposed to take care of your safety, your water, your parks, your needs, and we get the least amount out of that dollar that you pay. So again, for the third time in 14 years, we came out and tried to have a levy that would increase the amount of police officers. We know that we've had a safety issue in this town for the last couple of years, and we're lacking in officers. We're lacking in the amount that we can afford to have. We're currently budgeted at 129 officers, and we had a big survey and report done for the city of Gresham on our officers last year. A city of our size should have no less than 155 officers. We're actually budgeted at just over 1 officer per 1,000, and we should be at 2 officers per 1,000. But because of attrition and people leaving because of what's gone on in America in the last few years, we're currently running at under 1 officer per 1,000. So it was really disappointing that the levy didn't pass, but we are going to work on finding out why people voted no, so we can come back and do it the way that people want it to be done.
For the folks who are listening, some folks might be wondering, what does this levy even mean? Is it just a fancy word for saying taxes, or what's the difference between that and taxes?
What a levy is it's a 5-year tax. Okay. So you're voting yourself a tax for 5 years.
It's not permanent.
It's not permanent, and it's very specific. And we were hopeful that by being specific of 62.5% of it would go to police, 35% would go to fire, and 2.5% would go to homeless services, so that we could have another person helping, because in the city of Gresham, we've run a very good homeless services program. You don't see a lot of the issues that you see in our counterparts just down the street. And we were looking to have another person so we could have nights and weekends covered and not just daytime, because homelessness isn't just a daytime issue. And we'd like to be able to offer people services. We're in Gresham, we're compassionate, yet we are asking people to follow the rules. And so we try to help you, but we also want you to follow the rules.
Right. So I know that most of the time when we, when either ourselves or maybe the organizations that we use that recommend how to vote, most times, I think almost all the time we always say no to vote on levies and taxes. I think this was the only one that we recommended because I know we've heard good things about it. So people are, I think, used to voting no in the Slavic community. I know you already explained a little bit, what would be the difference between this one and all the other levies that are out there?
Yeah, so I guess I'm just sitting here. My question would be because I'm from Vancouver,
right.
Clark County, and we have levies like there's no tomorrow, and they're all passing, by the way. We had school ones and everything, and every time it passed. I'm not even sure what the rate is right now per $1,000 on the real estate property taxes, but I know it's went up a lot.
It's way more than $3.61
I'm
a
pretty
thousand
sure.
in Clark County.
So how does that compare? With the levies, it sounds like was the levy just to change that percentage rate per dollar spend for for the city, or was it actually the increase? It sounds like you guys are just kind of, in other words, behind everybody else as far as the cost.
We have been behind since it started over 20 years ago.
And the city's grown it's expanding.
Right, and when you expand, and we have a large amount of multifamily units and low-income units. We have more in Gresham than any other metropolitan city, so the values are lower. So you take a city like Hillsborough, who has not quite the same population as us, has a higher tax rate plus a levy that they just renewed, and our general fund budget, I believe, is $80 million, and theirs is $121. I could be off a little bit on those numbers, but I'm pretty close that it's over a third more. And they're a city that's just a few thousand smaller than us. So on the levy itself, this is a 5-year. And what happens for example, in May in Oregon, the levies that were already there that were being brought back to the voters, all of them passed again. People are used to paying that amount of money. Plus, they've seen the results. They know it's working. If it doesn't work in 5 years, you're not going to vote for it. But if it's working, you're going to say, okay, it's worth it for me. One, if I live in a safe city, if I have enough police officers and crime goes down, my car insurance goes down. It's unbelievable what people's car insurance in Multnomah County has gone up to. I know a woman, great record, not an expensive car. Her yearly insurance went up $800. It went up more than what she was paying already. And that's because we live in a county that has a horrible problem with auto theft. And so when you have the ability to see that you live in a safer place, your insurance goes down, your property values go up. So in the long run, are you really paying that much more? So right now, this levy, what it would have charged the average home, is based on the assessed value. So the average home in the city of Gresham would have paid $28.50 more a month.
Okay.
That's a lot if you're on a fixed income. It's not a lot if you can stop at Starbucks once a week, because that would pay for it. You know, so it's just thinking about it. But no, I don't want taxes just for the sake of taxes. We have too many of those. And we did have the problem of, in Multnomah County, there was a levy that was put on there that even the people that usually want all these taxes for Portland spoke out against. So you had Blumenauer and Vega Peterson and Wheeler all saying, no, do not vote on 26-238. And we were 26-239. There were only 2 levies in Multnomah County on this last ballot. Well, if you were in our area, there were 2 of them. And Portland's was first. Well, the Multnomah County one was first. And this was a tax to pay for lawyers for anybody who didn't want to, who wanted a free lawyer because they didn't want to do something with their rent. So because there wasn't, it wasn't for low income, it wasn't capped. It actually said in that levy that it had to increase the amount you had to pay every year. People who usually vote for and push taxes said, no, don't vote for that. So we had that against us too, because we were running at the same time as another levy that was just taking from your pocket for no reason that anybody, and that lost by, it was 82% voted no on that. So that was great.
But the levy that you're saying that you guys kind of hoped that would pass was a very directed levy. It's towards police. You said there was specific, it was more for like law enforcement.
It was all for police, fire, and homeless services.
Okay.
So our general fund is police, fire, and parks. And our general fund, we have now an $8.6 million budget deficit for today's budget because we didn't pass this. If it would have passed, we would have been bringing in $11 million. So we could have increased 11 positions in police and I think 6 positions or 9 positions in fire. And now we not only can't we increase, now we have to figure out what are we going to do. And that's a hard thing because if you need the money, if you are being fiscally conservative as we've tried to be for many years, I'm sure there's a few things that we can adjust, but most things we've been adjusting for years. That's why we have not enough police officers as it is, because for years we cut back and cut back. So we have less firemen today than we had 20 years ago. We have fire stations that we haven't had a new one in the city, I think, since 1976. And now we have women working in fire stations, and we need to be able to, there's just so much that we need to be able to do. But City Council is working on right now. First, we have to be able to balance our budget. We have to do that by our June 20th meeting. So chances are we have had a temporary fee in place, $15 a month, that shows up on your water bill. So we're probably going to vote to continue that fee. We probably should have voted to increase it, but we're a little leery of that right now. And we still have some of the funds that the federal government gave directly to the cities. We call them ARPA funds, American Rescue Plan Act funds. We have some of those left, and we will fill in and make this budget work for this year. But we need to find out what people would be willing to do so that we can move forward for next year, because there has to be a change, or we will either have to raise fees where you don't have a choice. I'd rather have you vote on a levy than me raise a fee on you and tell you have to do this.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. So next year sounds like you guys will try again after doing some outreach, perhaps?
I'm thinking that we probably should go back again in the May election after we do the outreach and find out why and figure out, bring people together. One of the good things about this May election was we had groups from every different kind of political belief come together and work together to try to pass this, which is the Gresham that I knew of 5 years ago and my whole life. Up until a few years back, we always worked together. And it was nice to see that happen for this. We didn't get it passed, but I'm hopeful that we'll get it we'll get it figured out for next year.
Mm-hmm. So maybe doing some kind of advertising in the Slavic community could help.
Absolutely. And I would love to be able to sit down with the Slavic community and answer questions and even go through and help people understand, because maybe there were so many people that misunderstood what was happening.
Right.
I mean, when you think that you have a $15 a month fee you're paying now and you're going to add $28.50, well, we probably were going to roll that fee back to $7.50. So, there's all these things that could be explained so people have a better understanding.
I'm guessing a lot of folks are moving out of all these mismanaged cities to Gresham, and they don't really trust the city to take care of, so they just naturally don't want to vote until they see some kind of improvement. So,
yeah, I think it's also the way it's brought up. I mean, the way that you explain it, if these three categories are kind of like bunched into one. I know in Vancouver, in Clark County, they have the levy for the homeless issue, and people were like, because I mean, the quality of the neighborhoods did suffer a little bit, because I live next to a YMCA area, and there is a homeless shelter area over there. But yeah, people kind of react differently to it. But if you explain it that there's safety attached to it, with the police department getting partially funded or getting more police officers in that area, then that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and you have to help people understand, because there's misconceptions. Every time I went out and talked to groups of people, there were multiple misconceptions. But we weren't. I wasn't able to get in front of enough people that quickly. We only had 7 weeks to work on this from the time the decision was made. So I'm hopeful we'll make the decision by July or August for May, and that will give us time to have a polling company come in and poll the people that voted no and find out why, and then correct what we need to correct or help in the areas. I think part of it too is most people don't trust government. Yeah. I hear that a lot, and I understand that, but I need to know in our area, for our government, what don't you trust? Because the people that I was able to talk one-on-one with, their mistrust didn't have anything to do with the city of Gresham, not what we take care of. So we have to get in front of more people. So I would love to be able to get in front of the Slavic community and answer questions.
Well, a lot of folks might even, they don't understand the difference between Portland and Gresham. And some people might even think that where they live in Gresham might be connected with Portland, and they don't want to trust it. So I think there's definitely a lot of that as well.
And so that's something that we kind of asked before the show, even like, where are the boundaries for Gresham? Because I know there's a couple Slavic churches that are pretty big. Like I know UBC is.
Most of the big ones are in Gresham,
Yeah, are actually in Gresham.
Yeah, the boundaries, if you look at a map, they're very jagged. They go all over, but pretty much you can say somewhere between 162nd and 174th from Pleasant Valley, so Foster Road south, up to Marine Drive, all the way over to the Troutdale border, which usually runs around 223rd, or no, excuse me. Yeah, some of it's 223rd, but then it comes over to 257th. So there's, again, it's coming across. So like Mount Hood Legacy Hospital is in Gresham. The coffee shop across the street is in Troutdale. Right. So it just goes like this.
So the space that we're in right now, the Slavic Center, is that still Portland or Gresham?
This is in Gresham.
It is, okay.
I'm pretty sure this is actually in Gresham, even though you have a Portland address.
Yeah,
I would have to see them again. I need to see the map because you're in that.
It's not like a clear-cut square.
It's not. It literally, it can go just a block can go like this around an area and up.
Well, that'd be great. I think Timur, who one of the executive directors here, he'll probably know if we ask him as well.
Well, I can ask him who he got to vote for on things, and that will tell me if because we do have several people in Gresham that have a Portland address, but they are city of Gresham. They pay the Gresham taxes, vote for Gresham's council, even though their address is city of Portland.
Right. Well, thank you for getting that. I want to take a quick minute to do a quick sponsor plug because we're here thanks to all of our sponsors, and we appreciate their support. Some of the sponsors that I want to shout out is Third House Media. We also have Solution 8020, the American Best Realty, Cibaroni, the Dream House Construction, Gold Cup is another one. We have the Red Hills Construction, Nina Martina Real Estate Broker, Alana's Floral, Pelmeni, and others that are great supporters, great sponsors of ours that we appreciate. And we just recently brought on another sponsor that I want to highlight today as well. And it's Igor Ivanov with his media company. It's a digital media marketing company that does a lot of good work. And so if you're looking for digital marketing, reach out to Igor Ivanov or let us know. We can connect you with them. And they do a lot of good work with different businesses out there. And they just recently came on and sponsored. So if you're listening, if you are interested to also either sponsor, or if you're interested to do a one-time contribution or monthly ongoing, you're always welcome to find that information on our website, slavicvote.org. We'll be more than happy to connect with you and see how we can partner with the mission that we are doing here in Oregon and Washington, and hopefully in the future, countrywide, because we have Slavic people everywhere. So, which is great. So, again, thank you very much. You can visit our website, slavicvote.org, for more information on that. There's also our past episodes that you can watch, Sue, from the last time. You can also watch all the other episodes that we had in the past, in the future, and resources, everything that you need, you can find on our website. And we're more than happy to connect you on there as well. If you want to reach out to connect with us on a certain question, there's options on there as well. Earlier on this program, I mentioned in Russian, I mentioned that we are starting a new program or starting a project, partnering with another bigger project that kind of a new thing for us. It's a Ukrainian refugee program that is here in Portland Metro. I apologize, and it's in Vancouver, Clark County area. So if you are or if you know somebody who is a refugee from Ukraine, specifically a parolee, and live in Vancouver, Clark County area, looking for resources, looking for some kind of support, this new program is starting here in Clark County. If you're interested to enroll in that, right now is the open enrollment. There's a few events that are happening that you can come and start engaging and learning and signing up for those. So if you're interested, you can call us or text messages on a phone number that I'll give you just a second, and we can add you to that program, add you to that list, and you'll be able to be connected. And we'll have annual events, monthly events, quarterly events where you can come and connect, build relationships, learn about what's going on here in the United States, get educated. And the goal is to help you navigate this new country that you're in, help you figure out what kind of programs are good for you, what kind of not. And this way you'll be able to really have a support group on top of what you already have. So we're more than happy to partner. And that is, of course, at no charge to you. It's all free of charge for the Slavic community, for the Ukrainian refugees. The phone number you can reach us at is 971-244-2228. Again, this is regarding the Ukrainian refugee services that just recently started here in Clark County. You can reach us and enroll in that program by calling or texting 971-244-2228, and we'll be more than happy to connect you. Well, we have about 10 minutes left. I want to just open up the floor. I don't have anything that's on top of my head right now that I want to ask you. I'm sure there's more stuff that will come up. I want to just kind of give you a space to kind of share what's on your heart. Maybe I know you're about to run for re-election next year, and a lot has been happening in Oregon. A lot of people are moving out of state. We always encourage the community to stay and not move away. I'm sure you have the same message, because there's a lot of things that are happening here that are good and bad, but there's probably more good, but we're not talking about it. So I want to talk about some of the good things.
We do need people to stay, because if the good people, the people that think like us, continue to move away, it makes it even harder for us to bring back a moral, God-fearing city, state, country. And we also have a calling from God. If you believe in God, you have a calling from God. And what is that? And you're put in this place at this time for a reason. And so I don't think that all my friends that have moved to Arizona and Idaho were called to do that. I think they just got tired and left. And that's sad, because we're losing a lot of very good, industrious people to other places. So, as I said earlier, where people didn't voice their vote, they may think like we do, but if you're not voting, you can't make that change. So stay, get involved, at any level. I mean, for many years, I was a volunteer and helped nonprofits and did my businesses and waited for the right time to get involved politically. But it's not always politics. You know, it's helping other people, like the Ukrainian that you were just talking about,
the refugee program.
The refugee program, getting involved in that, and you don't even need to be Ukrainian. Just have a heart for people that have come from another background and are trying to make it in the United States. Gresham is a great place, as I said before. I love this town. We are very unique in so many ways, and I see it a lot in, for example, in the Gresham Chamber. They have a weekly AM meeting, 7:20 in the morning on a Friday morning, and you'll get anywhere from 75 to 110 business owners showing up. Because it's so unique, they enjoy talking to the people and meeting up with the people, and they help each other and they grow businesses. I heard from the gentleman that owns a business in Gresham the other day, and he said, I now own 8 franchise. My first one was in Gresham, and it was because of people like you and the chamber that grew my business to get it off and going. And that's just a great thing. That's how the people are in Gresham. They love to be able to help each other. In fact, speaking of that, the Rockwood Market Hall in the Rockwood area of Gresham, which is close to the Slavic community, they've been looking for a grocery store to be the anchor inside the market hall. I would love to see a Slavic grocery store in there. I know that there was one out on out closer to the east side where I live. That's actually in Troutdale, Babushka, and that whole market hall needs a grocery store. So if you know anybody, if there's anybody listening that has connections that might be interested in having a store in there, they can contact me at the city website, sue.piaz@greshamoregon.gov. And I would love to get them connected so that we can build out that market hall. Once they have a grocery store anchor, I think more people will go into there all the time for all these small businesses that are trying to prosper. And we need to help them. We need to help all the businesses.
Well, I know that some people might remember CityMax, and I know they obviously closed down a couple of years back. And I've heard they might be looking to reopen somewhere else where it's more, better location. So I'll text the owner or one of the guys from there and see if he's interested, and maybe he's already looking at it. Who knows? But that's an option as well.
Great, and that's in our redevelopment area. So there's lots of advantages to going in and
I think if I remember correctly, you might have visited CityMax a long time ago. I think you and your husband visited one time, maybe.
We did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was a big location, but it was not the best location, but it was a good location inside. So, but we'll see what happens. Well, I know we want to talk about something. And speaking of faith and speaking of getting involved, you put on every so often a prayer groups or prayer events. Speak a little bit about that. I know the community maybe haven't heard about it, but they might be interested to attend those. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, years ago, we had a mayor's prayer breakfast, and that stopped a while ago. And so a few years back, I just started taking the National Day of Prayer. It's the same day every year, the first Thursday in May, and doing a National Day of Prayer at the stairs of City Hall at 8 o'clock in the morning for like 45 minutes. And we have a small group of people that have been coming. We have lots of pastors there, but we haven't been able to help people understand that this is for the people also. It's not just a pastor's come and pray. And, bringing hearts together. And we all know that when 2 or more are gathered, he hears our voices even better. And so the next one is set for the first Thursday in May, 8 o'clock at Gresham City Hall. Now, I have done others in the summertime, but there isn't anything planned at this time. And we do, the group that helps me with the National Day of Prayer, we're also looking at trying to come up with a program to do an inside, like, prayer breakfast that the mayor used to do. I would love to get one of those started in the area again. And I think we met at a prayer breakfast a couple years ago in Vancouver. And that was an amazing time. That was more political people, but I would love to see the community and all the different communities come together and not be so segregated, and bring us all together for prayer.
Yeah, for sure. I think, do you remember if any Slavic pastors came to that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Last 2 years we have.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Well, I know I've heard about it. It's just been so busy. Maybe maybe we can see if we can do something together as well, and bring more of the community to those for next year.
Absolutely. And we have plenty of time versus, it's February or March, and I'm finally getting to that point of working on the May event. So
Right.
Knowing it's the first Thursday in May, we can.
Yeah, it'd be good to do it inside. I know there's, I don't know if you've heard, there's one that happens in Clark County. I think it's right after the election usually. And I know that Andrew Ivanov with Flash Love is involved in that. And I know we've been to at least one of those. So that's a good one as well. And
Yeah, a couple of my friends were at that one, and they're like, I'll help you, now that they've kind of seen what it can be.
Right. Yeah. So location is basically what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Any of the churches are open to?
I haven't talked to him yet. I'm hopeful. I figured one. There's a couple big churches in Gresham, and so I'm hopeful to reach out to them and ask if this is something that they would be willing to help put on. Actually,
Right. I wonder if the Ukrainian Bible Church would be interested, because they're more engaged in the community.
And they are a church that, my understanding, they wouldn't have a pullback because a political person is wanting to do this. Some of the churches in Gresham, unfortunately, are afraid to have anything when it has a politician. And I tell people, I'm not a politician. I'm a public servant.
Right.
I was voted in an office, but I'm not a politician.
Yep, and it's a nonpartisan race.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
So that's good. Well, we have a couple minutes. Anything in your heart, or Yaroslav, do you have any questions that you had?
I would share one thing. If people had heard of the Mount Hood Legacy Hospital closing its birthing center. I was the catalyst, found out about that when they announced, the day they announced it, and brought people, nurses, doctors, the public together for a discussion on this, something that should never have happened. The birthing center, for one, the money to build the center was mostly raised by the citizens of Gresham. They spent some time raising that money way back when to build that birthing center. And a change in management at Legacy, COVID, birth rates going down, they decided just to shut it down. No contact with the community, just made an announcement. It's illegal in the state of Oregon to shut your birthing center down in a hospital. So we were able to get about 1,800 signatures and take it to OHA, and they told them they couldn't shut it down. So we just got a letter Tuesday saying it will be reopening on June 13th. Not fully as what it was, but it is reopening, and it will get to where it needs to be. But again, this was just by finding out what was happening, and people, all different areas of town, all different thoughts, beliefs, backgrounds, coming together and saying, our city needs a birthing hospital. We can't not have this, especially in Gresham, because that Legacy Hospital serves people of government camp that's having babies. Because the closest for them, if you live going east, southeast between Gresham, is Madras. So everything in between there, where are you going to go? So when you're up at Welch's government camp, Rhododendron, Mount Hood,
That's far.
you either come.
I was just there last
It
weekend.
is far, and
It's like 2 hours away.
when Legacy said they were closing, we'll just have you go down to Randall's Children's Center in North Portland. Well, on a good day with
make it
traffic, it's
there.
45 minutes. Plus, what if you took a taxi and you don't speak English and you don't know what's happening, and they just tell you, we don't have a doctor here. We're going to, their options were, if it's emergency, we'll life flight them. Well, that doesn't happen on foggy days and icy
I just
days.
can't believe that they would say that the birth rate, especially Gresham, because it's more of a younger community.
Well, the birth rates in the U.S. are going down.
Yeah, but
And that
Gresham's been growing. I can tell you, because I have family that lives there, and there's
we're
stuff
almost
going on.
115,000 now in Gresham, and so yes, we are growing.
Yeah.
But it's also the way the insurance system is done. So, do you have Providence Insurance or Legacy Insurance, and then the bigger at the state level, we need to look at that too, because what's the reimbursement for Medicare and Medicaid patients? That keeps going down. Women's health reimbursements have gone down. and that's not fair. I mean, women have fought for a lot of things in this country, and health rights is not something we should have to fight for. But we did, and it worked. We're going to have that back open next Tuesday.
Awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Well, one thing fun fact that I remember from our last program that some folks might be interested. I think you were, or your family is the founders of the Mike's Pizza.
Wild Mike's Pizza.
Wild Mike's. Yep. I thought that was fun because I've had that pizza, and I'm sure a lot of people have as well. So,
Yay.
If somebody wants to learn more about that, the story behind that, and Sue's involvement in that, they can always find our last program and learn more about that as well. And I think you guys sold it and no longer.
My brother owns it. I sold my dad and my brother and I sold it to my one brother.
Got it.
So he's still and a brother works for him, and his kids and his son works for him. So it's still all in the family.
Have you had some Wild Mike's pizza?
I don't know.
It's the best frozen pizza out there. It's all natural. So they were able to get preservatives out of the meat and the crust, and for a frozen pizza, it's frozen, but for a frozen pizza, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most frozen are not so good. So.
No, it doesn't taste like cardboard. So that's that's the common thought.
That's good.
So no, it's very flavorful.
So if
and
you're
good.
at a store, go buy Mike's Pizza.
Yeah, Wild Mike's Pizza.
Yep. That'll shout
Support a local company.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of our program. We have about a minute left. I just wanted to kind of, I know we just talked about the elections that are coming up in Washington in August 1st. Any last word you want to say to encourage the community to get out and vote, to get involved? Anything that you want to mention? Just whatever's on your heart. It's your floor.
I think I would encourage people that it is your most important right. If you don't vote, you don't know what's going to happen. And all the people, I mean, just think about it. 70% of the people didn't vote in May. And maybe the person you wanted to get elected didn't get elected. Or maybe you wanted more police because you live in an area that's not so safe. And that's not going to happen now. So it's all part of being an American, is taking that right to vote. Now, some people aren't quite sure votes are getting counted right, but if you don't vote, you don't have an opportunity anyway. It's your voice. Yeah.
Exactly. And what Yaroslav said when we had the Russian segment, he mentioned something that I thought was powerful. We talk about 25% of people voting. That's minority controlling what's going on for the majority.
Absolutely.
So let's change that.
Yeah.
Let's change that.
Yep.
So, 100% would be ideal.
So make sure you register. Make sure you register for the party, especially in Oregon. It's very important that you decide what party, because you can't vote in the primaries if you're not.
And let's be clear, for the Slavic community, when you are selecting the party, you're not like enrolling to the party, or you're not becoming part of the party. That's a totally different program, separate. You're just literally just saying, I associate or I vote closer to that party, but I'm not a party member. In Russian, that would be something a lot of folks wouldn't want to be part of a specific party, but you are.
And we want to keep it that way here, so you need to vote.
Exactly.
So that we don't end up that way.
Exactly. In Washington, it's open primary, so you can vote for whoever, so it's a little different. You can still register to vote if you want to vote in the August 1st elections. Very important local elections for school boards and for other local races. So if you want to see your state, your area start turning around and going in the direction that you prefer, get involved. At the very least, go vote. Find a friend or family that is not voting, let them know that they can vote, and maybe help them out in whatever they can. So I appreciate you coming on, Sue. Thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having me again.
Good luck with your election for next year, and keep us updated if there's anything interesting. We'll try to do our best to announce it on here, and hopefully the levy, if it goes back up next year, it's successful, and you'll be able to maybe come back and share all the great things that you guys doing with that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for everybody who tuned in to this program. You're listening to Slavic Vote Live. Your host today is Dmitry Sashenko and Yaroslav. We're happy to be here, and we're looking forward to next week. Like always, we have guests on next year. Next week, we're probably going to have a senator with us who will share about what's going on in Oregon elections. Or specifically in the session, and there's a lot that's going on there. We were supposed to have Senator Tip Knopp on today, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. So hopefully next time we'll have, and he'll share what's going on as well. So, like I mentioned, if you are interested in the Ukrainian refugee program, you can call or text our number at 971-244-2228, and you'll be able to get enrolled in that. And when there's new programs, new workshops, new events, we'll let you know about that. And the most upcoming one is this weekend, June 10th, at the Father's House Church at 12 o'clock. You'll be able to come there and sign up, but you are supposed to be registered, and so you want to call and register for that, and you can just call us at 971-244-2228, and we will connect you and get you enrolled and get you signed up for that. Thank you very much. You're listening to Slavic Vote Live. We'll see you next week.
Внимание! Редакция медиахолдинга Slavic Family не несет ответственность за содержание рекламных сообщений и авторских программ.